Hey, Tony here with Salt Strong, and I want to go over one of my favorite lures to catch redfish on, and it is this spinnerbait. Now, this is a very effective bait to use in dirty to murky water. It's not as effective in clear water unless you are fishing very thick grass. What you would do is just drag this lure just above the surface of the grass, and it helps pull those fish out of the grass, and they instinctively strike this lure because it makes a lot of flash and a lot of vibration in the water. Now, there are pre-made setups that you can purchase, such as the Redfish Magic, which is a spinnerbait like so. But I actually made this. I pieced it together using some different products, so I'll go ahead and show you what exactly I use. Now, the first thing you need is the spinner itself. These are made by the H&H Lure Company, and this is a number 5 Colorado blade. Next, you would need a jig head. I like to go with a 1/4 ounce jig head. This is a Flats Minnow jig head from Academy Sports and Outdoors. It's their own brand. It's made by H2O Express, and I like to use that 1/4 ounce. It gives me a nice long cast. And also, the bait that you would put on there is a saltwater assassin sea shad in the Mama's 14K color. Now, this is the most effective setup I've used. This is really the only color and setup that I've used, and this is it all put together. So right out of the packaging, I'll go ahead and show you how to put this together. So first, take your gold spinner out of the package. You're gonna see it comes with nothing on it, just the spinner and the arm. You wanna pop open that little clip, and that's where you're gonna put your jig head. Now take one of your jig heads out of the packaging. Now, when you put the jig head on, you want to make sure it's facing towards the blade, like so. So face it towards the blade, then just tilt it over and put it right on the clip, and then slide it on. And there you go. And then next, you want to put your bait on the jig head. So just kind of measure how far the hook should be, and then just put your thumb where the hook should come out, your thumb and your pointer finger there where the hook should come out. Slide the bait on, and then pop that hook out where you had your thumb and index finger. And there you have it. That is all I like to use when you are fishing dirty or murky water. Now, I found this most effective in about 1 foot to 2 feet of water. If you're fishing too deep, the redfish won't really come up to the surface to attack it because they aren't really surface feeders. They either feed off the bottom or directly in front of them. So this is most effective in, again, 1 foot to 2 feet of water and around grass. Now, as far as the rod and reel setup that I like to use when throwing this lure, I use a 7'6" medium to heavy action spinning rod, and also a 2500 to 4000 size spinning reel. Now, it's most effective to use a bait caster when using a lure like this because you're just doing a steady retrieve. Sometimes you give it a couple twitches to just create a little more action, but it's pretty much a steady retrieve when you're using this lure. And I like to go with the 7'6" length on the rod just because I am in a kayak. So I'm a little lower to the surface of the water when I am standing up as opposed to being in a boat. So that longer rod tip actually helps me keep the lure higher up in the water column and above the grass when I am retrieving it. So just keep that in mind. If you use a shorter rod, you're gonna kind of have to reel a little faster to keep that lure up towards the top of the water column and above the grass. Now, as far as the line that I like to use on my setup, I use anywhere from 10 to 15 pound braided line. Of course, that 10-pound line will give you a much longer cast because it is thinner. And the fluorocarbon leader, I like to go with the Seagar Blue Label fluorocarbon leader material, and about 2 to 2.5 feet of it. And then when I tie my braid to my leader, I like to use the FG knot, which is a very strong knot. So if you don't know how to tie it, it's best to practice that and learn that knot. We have a link down below where Luke will actually show you how to tie this knot properly. And then the lure to leader connection, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. I usually use a loop knot when I'm using artificials just because it gives you more action. But as you can see, the arm of this lure doesn't have a closure on it. It has a gap. So if you put a loop knot on there, your line's going to slide all over this arm. So you want a nice, tight, secure knot. Now I like to use the tri-lean knot, so I'll go ahead and show you that. What you want to do is put your line through, I guess you would call it the eye of the lure, like so. Then you want to come around and loop your tag end through the eye of the lure one more time, like so. And what you're going to create there is a little loop. Once you create that loop, you want to wrap your tag in around 4 to 5 times around your main leader line, and then take your tag in, come back through that loop, like so, and then cinch that line down. Again, you want to make sure that line's a little moist, so when you tie it down, it doesn't burn through and snap that knot. Just pull the line down. I'll use my thumb to kind of slide those coils down. And there you have a nice, tight, secure knot on there. And just trim off your tag end, leave a little bit in case the knot slips any, which it shouldn't. I haven't had this knot really fail at all. So there you go, nice tight knot on the arm of the lure. Now, as I mentioned before, when retrieving this lure, you want to keep it at a nice steady retrieve, either slow, or if you try to do it too fast, the lure will actually start spinning. So you want to keep a nice steady slow retrieve. That's the most effective way that I've used this lure and had the most strikes. And also, if you need to keep it higher up in the water, bring that rod tip up and give a little faster of a retrieve. And if you want it to go more towards the bottom, if you're fishing sandy bottom or muddy bottom, just let that lure sink down, keep the rod tip low, and give it a nice slow, steady reel. So if you have any questions on using this lure to catch redfish, please leave a comment down below. Also be sure to go to our courses page and check out our online courses that will help you consistently catch inshore game fish. Until then, I'll see you on the next video.